Are you comfortable sitting on the floor with your back pain? You can sit on a chair. Sit on a chair. Give her a chair. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Jayong Vishnupad Paramhansha Paribrajikacharya Ashtattar Shatu Shri Srimad Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimha Dev Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gaurango. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatta Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanang Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirai Nashtapraishu Abhadreshu Nittang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone to the global retreat in Ujjain, annual global retreat. So the session will start from 11 to 1 and then 4 to 6. Okay, so everyone got the timing? 11 to 1, the morning session, then lunch break and siesta break, and then 4 to 6 is the afternoon session. So, because of and the topic is what Krishna did after leaving Vrindavan. When Krishna left Vrindavan, then what did he do? So we'll discuss about those pastimes, mainly Krishna's pastimes in Mathura and Dwaraka. That is the three aspects of Krishna's pastimes that has been described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Up to 38 is Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, 1 to 38 chapter, and then 38 to 90 is Krishna's other pastimes. Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto in this way has 90 chapters. So actually, although the sessions will be from 10 to 12 and 4 to 6, but the Bhagavatam class also will be pertaining to this seminar. And the first day today, we have selected the verse number 3 from the chapter of the first canto. This verse is very relevant because this verse is giving us an understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is Srimad Bhagavatam? So, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukamukhad Amritadrava Sangyutam Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhu Aho Rasika Bhubi Bhavuka. Nigama kalpataror galitang phalam Sukha mukhadamritam davasangyutam Pibat bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraha rasika bhubi bhabuka. Nigama kalpa taror galitang phalam Suka mukhadamrita drava sanjutam Pivata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraha rasika bhuvi bhavuka Nigama kalpa taror galitang phalam Suka mukhadamrita drava sanjutam Pivata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraha rasika bhuvi bhavuka Kalpatarur galitang phalam Sukamukhadamrita drava sanjutam Pivata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraha rasika bhuvi bhavuka Matajis, Nigama, the Vedic literatures, Kalpataro, the desired tree, Galitam, fully matured, Phalam, fruit, Shuka, Srila Sukadev Goswami, the original speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, Mukhat, from the lips of, Amrita, nectar, Drava, semi-solid and soft, and therefore easily swallowable, Samyutam, perfect in all respects, Pivata, do relish it, Bhagavatam, the book dealing in the science of the eternal relation with the Lord. Rasam, juice, that which is relishable. Alayam, until liberation or even in a liberated condition. Muhu, always. Aho, oh. Rasika, those who are full in knowledge of mellows. Bhubi, in the earth. Bhavukaha, expert and thoughtful. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Please repeat after me. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of the Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the two previous shlokas, it has been definitely proved that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this shloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things knowable by men. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Vedas contain regulated principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medical, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. Above and beyond all this are the specific directions for spiritual realization. Regulated knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to the spiritual platform, and the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all spiritual tastes or rasas. This has a very long purport, but we'll just discuss from section like this. So, Nigama Kalpatarur Galitam Phalam. The point here is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all the Vedic knowledge. Vedas, the literary, it means knowledge. The word Veda comes from the root word vid. Vid means to know, and Veda means knowledge, or that has been known. Knowledge, Veda. And as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, the Vedas are dealing with all different aspects of material and spiritual necessities of life. It is dealing with social, it is dealing with political, it is dealing with medical, it is dealing with military, physical, metaphysical, even chemical. Vedas are dealing with all aspects of knowledge. Like, for example, there is Ayurveda, the medical aspect of the Vedas. And that is the most advanced medical knowledge, actually. Compared to the modern medical science, or rather compared to that Ayurveda, modern medical science is very, very insignificant. As everybody knows, like modern medical science just deals with only the symptoms. They try to cover the symptoms. But the Ayurveda is dealing with the root of the disease. What is the cause of the disease? They're dealing with that. And not only that, the Ayurveda has the understanding that every disease, for every disease, nature has provided a cure. For every disease, there is a medicine in the nature. It's cure in the nature. And they master the art of for which disease, which is the cure. Then we can also consider Dhanurveda, the military science. Like nowadays, they know weapons that are only of fire. Even the nuclear weapons, they are actually fire weapons. But this aspect of Dhanurveda deals with water weapon, wind weapon, sound weapon. So in this way we can see every aspect of the Vedas is so profound, so perfect. Now Vedas are not only dealing with the materialistic aspect of this necessity, but the Vedas are actually transcending the material nature and coming to the spiritual nature. Now we can see the modern science, although they are dealing with various topics, various subjects, but they all are dealing with the materialistic reality, material reality. They don't have any knowledge about the soul. But the Vedas, the real knowledge of the Vedas are starting from that point. And Vedas are giving that knowledge in the most perfect way. Like, what is this body? What is the soul? Modern education, Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai, Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai, Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki Jai, Jai Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimha Dev ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In today's world, although the knowledge has reached a very great height, like today people have learned how to use different facilities, like flying through the sky, and then weapons of mass destruction. These are the advancement. Heart transplant, and so forth. But these are all dealing with the material nature, the material body, or materialistic aspect of life. There is no knowledge, no information about the soul, which is the most important aspect. Because the biggest problem in this world is death. The biggest problem. And they don't have any understanding why one dies. Because they do not have any understanding of the soul. Whereas in the Vedic, when we approach the Vedic wisdom, then understanding about death becomes very clear. What is death? Departure of the soul from the body. When the soul leaves the body, body dies. And when one has this understanding of the soul, then the biggest problem of this world is solved. And what is the biggest aspiration? What is the biggest craving in this world today? To become immortal, not to die. And when one gets the understanding of the soul, then that becomes, that problem becomes so easily solved. You want to become immortal? Become situated in your spiritual identity. You'll become immortal because the soul never dies. And you are the soul. Soul never dies. Does the soul die? Who are you? Soul. See, look at the equation. Soul never dies. You are the soul. Will you die? So immortality is so easily achieved. We are immortal to begin with. So that is the Vedas say, the first instruction. Shinnantu Vishye Amritasya Putra. The children of immortality, listen in this world. You know, Amritasya Putra. We all are immortal. We all are children of immortal. So we are immortal. So listen to your actual identity, about your actual identity. So that is the information that Vedas are ultimately providing. That is the main purpose of the Vedas. The Vedas was given by Krishna at the beginning of creation to Brahma. Brahma was the first created being in this universe, and when Brahma came, he was in ignorance like anybody else. In this material nature, everyone comes in ignorance. As soon as one comes in the material nature, he is in ignorance. Even all the way up to Lord Brahma. Brahma came directly from the navel of the Lord. He came directly from the Lord. But still he didn't know who he was. He didn't have any knowledge about his identity, about his origin, and about his purpose. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know where he came from. He didn't know what he was meant to do, what he was supposed to do. And that is with every one of us. Only difference is Brahma, as soon as he came, he was fully conscious. He was fully conscious. He saw himself sitting on a lotus. He saw the Garbha ocean, and he began to wonder. No recollection of his past. His mind was completely blank about the past. And it's only starting from that point onwards. And Brahma was completely bewildered. Who am I? Whereas when we come, we are in total ignorance. We don't know who we are. We are total ignorance. I mean, we don't have any knowledge whatsoever. And then we acquire knowledges, start to acquire knowledges. This is mommy, this is papa, this is brother, this is sister, this is water, this is milk. And he starts to collect informations and stores it in his memory. And the more information he collects in his memory, the more knowledgeable he becomes. And then he dies. And when he dies, then the whole memory is lost. Then he assumes another body, starts from the beginning, starts from scratch, from A, B, C, D. Although he may have been a very learned scholar in his previous life, in next life when he comes into a new body, he has to start from the scratch. So that is our situation in this material nature. We all are in ignorance. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya. We are born in the deepest darkness of ignorance. That is our situation in this material nature. We acquire knowledge. All that knowledge is material knowledge received through our senses. Through our senses we acquire this knowledge and preserve it in our memory, in our mind. And this is how we are transmigrating from one body to another since time immemorial. But the real knowledge is the knowledge about the soul, our spiritual identity. And that is being given in the Vedas as the essence of all the Vedas. And this knowledge is perfectly presented in two scriptures, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Lord Himself. The Lord Himself spoke about us and Himself. Bhagavad Gita is beginning with who we are. Through this question and answer between Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna is asking, Arjuna is bewildered, so Arjuna is inquiring, Arjuna is asking, and Krishna is answering. And where it is beginning, Arjuna, remember that there was never a time when you, I, and all these kings that have assembled to fight, that they didn't exist and we didn't exist. We had always been there. That is the beginning of Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita. Now, who are always there? The body, Krishna is pointing out, body changes. Body changes. From childhood, in our life we see the body changes from childhood to youth to old age. The body changes, but in spite of the change of the body, we remain the same. We remain the same person. So now, when the body changes from one body to another body, do we change? No, we remain the same. So who is that we? Body and the owner of the body. Who is the owner of the body? The owner of the body is the soul. And the soul can never be destroyed. The soul is unborn, soul is eternal, soul is immortal. So that is the real knowledge that has been given by the Vedas. The most important knowledge that the Vedas are imparting is this knowledge. The first aspect of this knowledge is the difference between matter and spirit, difference between body and soul. And then it goes to the point of the Supreme Soul, who is the origin of all souls, from whom all the souls have come, from whom we all have come, and that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the essential teachings of the Vedas. The spiritual identity of the individual. We all are spiritual beings. And we all are coming from the Supreme Spiritual Personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when one receives that knowledge, then his life becomes perfect. And what does this knowledge lead to? We are spirit souls, and we are coming from the Supreme Spiritual Personality of Godhead. Then what is our relationship with Him? Our relationship is like that of part and the whole. He is the whole and we are the part. And as his part and parcels, we must be connected to him. There lies the existence of the part. There lies the purpose or the necessity of the part. This little finger of mine is a part of my body. As long as this little finger is connected to this body, this little finger is very important. But as soon as this little finger is cut off from the body, what happens? It's discarded. There's no use of it. It'll rot. So similarly, we are the part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the utility of our existence lies in our connection to Him. When we become severed from Him, we become separated from Him, our existence becomes meaningful. And our present condition is like that. We have become separated from Him, and as a result of that, what's the value of our life? The real purpose of our existence lies in our connection to Him. And how that connection is possible? Through surrender. We are conscious beings, and we can utilize our consciousness by developing our relationship with Him. When we do that, our life becomes successful. And we achieve immortality. Not only immortality, we achieve everything that we need. Then again, the Vedas are pointing out, what is our basic needs? What are the most important needs that we have? Our needs are, we don't want to die. Our need is, we want to know everything. And our need is, we want to enjoy. We want to be happy, we want to be joyful. Now in the material nature, can anybody be immortal? We don't want, no matter how much we want to die, no matter how much effort we make not to die, but can anybody become immortal in this material nature? No. The point is, this material body can never be made immortal. The material body is bound to die. And can we ever acquire perfect knowledge, absolute knowledge? No. In this material nature, no matter how much we try to acquire knowledge, it will never be complete. And in this material nature, can we ever be joyful? For the time being, we may be happy, but right after that comes misery, suffering. There is no question of uninterrupted happiness in this material nature. That is the reality, and that's what is pointed out time and time again in the Vedas. But on the other hand, the Vedas are providing us with information that the moment you become connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the moment you become situated in your spiritual identity, then automatically you become immortal, because you are immortal. We don't have to become immortal, we are immortal. The body is mortal. The body is susceptible to death. But the body is only an external material covering of the soul. We change the body. The problem is when we identify ourselves with the body, then we become susceptible to death. But when we become situated in a spiritual identity, immediately we achieve immortality. Knowledge. The knowledge is there in us. The knowledge is there with the soul. But because it has been covered by this material ignorance of this material nature, it is an ignorance. Knowledge is already there. And we are already joyful. But the thing is, in order to acquire this spiritual identity and this spiritual qualities, we simply have to re-establish our connection to the Lord. We have to become connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in order to enable us to do that, the Lord Himself came and spoke. That is Bhagavad Gita. The Lord Himself gave us the perfect knowledge about who we are and who He is and how we can re-establish our relationship with Him. That is the Bhagavad Gita. But the advanced knowledge, this is the preliminary knowledge. Why? Because when the Lord is speaking about Himself, when Krishna is speaking about Himself, how much can He speak about Himself? If somebody comes and wants to know about your qualities or achievements, how much can you speak? You feel shy. You feel, oh, how can I blow my own trumpet? Like, how much can one speak about himself, especially if the person is so qualified and so exalted? But when somebody who loves that person, when he speaks about him, then what happens? Then one goes all the way, without any limit, keeps on describing his qualities. And that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Himself is speaking about Himself. Therefore He is hesitating to speak about Himself. But Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord's devotees who love Him, those who love Him are speaking about Him. Therefore Srimad Bhagavatam is the perfect presentation of the Lord's glory. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimhadev ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So that is how the Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the advanced course, advanced study. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary course, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the advanced course. Because when it comes to receiving the information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us the perfect and extensive knowledge about the Supreme Lord. So, and that's what we're going to discuss about in this seminar today. That's starting from today for 7 days. And so, let's get ready for that. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. I can answer a few questions. Any question?
Hare Krishna. Whatever sense perception we perceive in this gross material world, whatever sense perception we perceive in this gross material world, that is through the mind. So how does the soul get entangled? Because the mind is separated and the soul is separated being.
The soul gets entangled because he turns his face away from Krishna and sees the inferior energy, material nature. And the soul, being superior, develops a tendency to exploit this inferior material nature. And that's how the soul gets entangled. You have a question? Give the mic.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. You have explained that when we come in this material world, we acquire knowledge and then we store it within the memory. So when it comes to transcendental knowledge, where exactly is that stored? Because we don't lose that. We don't have to learn like ABC. So where exactly is that stored?
Very good question. In the material nature, we acquire knowledge by receiving it through but where the spiritual knowledge is, how the spiritual knowledge is acquired. Do we start with ABCD? That's the question? Yeah. As I mentioned, the spiritual knowledge is already there with the spirit soul, right? Unlike the material knowledge, we get a new body. And in that new body, through its sense perception, or through his senses, acquires knowledge. And then and that knowledge that is stored in the memory becomes his knowledge, right? Whereas the spiritual knowledge is with the spirit soul. But in the material nature, when the spirit soul comes to the material nature, that knowledge gets covered over with a substance called avidya. Avidya. So it gets covered over with avidya or ignorance. And the spiritual process is actually to remove that avidya. And when the avidya is removed, then the knowledge becomes automatically manifest. Example, take a light bulb. Its switch is on. The light is on. But because a black paint is covering it, will the light come out? The bulb that is painted with black, although the light is burning, will the light be visible? No, it's not coming out. So the soul's covering with avidya is something like that. So then, if you want the light to come out, then what do you have to do? Right. Get rid of the black paint that is covering. So when that paint is removed, then the knowledge will become manifest. So that is why the spiritual knowledge is Dibbagyan Hriday Prakashita. The transcendental knowledge is revealed in the heart. Is revealed in the heart by following the proper process. When one follows the process properly, and through this, like Cheto Darpana, removal of the ignorance. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. By practicing the process of the spiritual process, then the covering of ignorance is removed from the mirror of our mind or from our heart. And then the transcendental knowledge becomes self-manifest. Hriday Prakashita is manifest in the heart. So, some question from the internet, from Giriraj Das, Gurgaon. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. You nicely explained us that we are a part of Krishna, but we are separated from Him. My question is that, even though I have heard it and have faith in it, yet I do not feel any separation from Krishna. Please help me as to how I can get over this condition and feel separated from Krishna. Yeah. That's why there is a need for remembrance, remembering Krishna. Now that you have forgotten Krishna, that's why you are not feeling the separation. Because you don't know here about Him. Therefore, you need to come to the retreats like this and get to hear about Krishna, and that is how you become aware of Him, aware of your relationship with Him, and that is how you, and then you start feeling the separation. Say, for example, a child, he got separated from his father. He doesn't know who his father is. Will he miss him? No, because to begin with, he doesn't know him. But then the child is told that he has a father, and his father is a king in such and such place. And his father is so great, his father is so wonderful. Then what will happen? Won't the child naturally feel like going back to the father and re-establish his relationship? And that's why it is important to get to know about Krishna. And Krishna himself is making that arrangement. He spoke Bhagavad Gita, he arranged the Vedas, he arranged Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you hear about Krishna in this way, get to know about his wonderful qualities, and you become aware of your relationship with him, then automatically you start to feel the separation. Because you develop your love for him. You feel the separation only when there is love. Do you feel the separation from a person who you hate? No. You feel separation from somebody who you love. And when you develop your loving relationship with Krishna, then the feeling of separation becomes spontaneous, becomes automatic. Thank you, Giriraj. I know you wanted to come, but it didn't happen to you. You could make it. Anyway, there'll be, I think, broadcast of, so I'm sure you'll be watching them. And make it a point to come next year. Thank you, Giriraj. You have a question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thanks for very wonderful class. My question is, you have said about the importance of Ayurveda, but there are various devotees who are, all the people including devotees, they accept allopathy. So what should we think after this class means about Ayurveda?
Well, because main thing is, because massive publicity and propaganda of allopathic treatment and no publicity for Ayurvedic treatment. People don't know how effective it is. And when people become aware of the efficacy, and it's happening. For example, it's happening like we set up an Ayurvedic clinic here. And people are coming for treatment and getting the result. Like the diseases that are considered to be incurable by allopathic treatment, they're getting cured by that. Those diseases are getting cured with just 3 weeks of treatment. And those allopathic specialists, doctors, are giving the recommendation, admitting that she has been completely cured. For example, one devotee came from South Africa, and she had ulcerative colitis. And ulcerative colitis is incurable according to allopathic treatment. Mohan, do you agree? Ulcerative colitis is incurable according to allopathic. And she came and took the treatment for, by the way, Mohan is a doctor, that's why I asked him, allopathic doctor. So she took the treatment for 3 weeks and she is completely cured. She was taking a lot of medicines for the last 5 years, and now she stopped this medicine completely. And it's almost 14 months now that she took the treatment. So things like that, people are becoming aware of the efficacy of this treatment. Like, so simple things, like, which is actually very, very critical otherwise. Like, anyway, I mean, as I said, like, it deals with the root, not with the symptom. And what's the root according to Ayurvedic treatment? The root is only 3 things: mucus, bile, and air. All the diseases are caused by these 3 things, either caused by mucus, bile, or air. That is one aspect. And the other aspect, as I mentioned, for every disease there is a cure, provided by nature. And they master the art for which medicine, which disease, which is the cure. And they apply that. And how they determine the disease? just by feeling your pulse. There are 3 different pulses indicating these 3 different aspects: mucus, bile, and air. And they figure it out and they apply the medicine. And why mucus, bile, and air? Because the body is made of 5 elements, right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Out of these 5, which is the most predominant? Which 3? The most predominant are water, fire, and air. About 75% of the body is water. Our digestion, which is the most vital aspect of the functioning of the body, is conducted by fire. The temperature in the body indicates the body has fire, right? Otherwise, how can there be temperature? And air, we are breathing. Different, not only breathing, all the activities of the body is functioned by 5 types of air. Now, in this body, earth and ether are not very prominent. So these 3 are the most prominent aspects. So when there is proper balance, then the body is healthy. When there is some imbalance, then there is disorder, and that is the cause of disease. There is an earth and water causes mucus. Water, fire causes bile. And air and ether cause air. Disease is caused by air. So, it is, see how profound it is, how scientific it is. But unfortunately, there is no publicity, there is no awareness. And that is why this culture is totally neglected. When the British came to India, they made it a point to make every Indian believe that anything that is Indian is bad and anything that is foreign is good. So, and we still are suffering from that mentality. The British left India about 60, 70 years back. But we are still suffering from the disease that they cause us, injected in us. So we have to get rid of that and recognize the value of our own culture. So next question from Mukul from Delhi. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Pamho AGTSP. Even though we are eternal, then why do the devotees drink the nectar of immortality during the Samudra Manthanam? Okay, they were eternal, just like they may be eternal, but they were in ignorance, just as most of the people now is in the material nature. Similarly, the Devas and Danavas both were in ignorance, and that's why they wanted to become immortal. But the immortality that they were aspiring for is the so-called immortality of the body. By drinking nectar, they wanted to make the body immortal, meaning they could make the body last for a long time, but they could not become immortal. No one in this material nature is immortal, all the way up to Lord Brahma. Okay, thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So go take breakfast and get ready for the retreat, for the seminar. I hope you'll have a good time here. I can see some newcomers here. Welcome. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.